Hey guys, it's Dan, and I am here with a new draft league going over my team for the WBG Wi-Fi League, week 1. I'm going to be playing Jacob, and yeah, I'll just go straight on into the team. We've got a pretty interesting matchup. His team has Roaring Moon and Klefki, which are both pretty annoying for my team, especially assuming the Klefki carries Rain Dance. So although I don't want to lean too much into the Sun mode, I do still have to have my Sun mode because I have all these photosynthesis mons, and actually every Pokemon on my team that I'm bringing does benefit from Sun this week. But I'm probably not going to be leading Torkoal. The Sandy Shocks with Terra Fairy, Terra Blast is to snipe the Roaring Moon, especially if it comes out next to an Amoonguss lead, because I know that my opponent has not played as much Doubles Draft, so he might not be expecting that my Roaring Moon answer has the safety goggles on it, which I'm hoping to get early lead, either game 1 or game 2, if he has that kind of lead into me. The Lilligant Physical is really good into a lot of his team. The Screamtail is just a pain to play against. Encore Disable Tech is really good into a lot of everything that goes on. The Walking Lake, if he does set Rain, I actually have the Terra Flying Hurricane to really lean into that special damage that way, along with the Hydro Steam. I don't need Sun for it, so it can take advantage of both weathers. Torkoal's my Sun setter. It can get out with the Overheat Eject Pack if I need it to. So yeah, pretty standard set there with the Yawn for some support. And then I went for a pretty bulky Gouging Fire. The Heat Crash should still be able to take out most Amoonguss sets. It'll do a lot of damage in the Klefki as well, even if screens are up. And then the Breaking Swipe will let me ignore some redirection and still hit the Roaring Moon and drop its attack while dealing super effective damage. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, and let's go ahead and dive right on into the battles. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan. I am here with my first WBG match. So this is actually a post-comms recording, and I've deleted my original comms because I was pretty sick, and although my voice isn't all the way back yet, I was barely understandable in that recording, so I'm just doing some post-comms recording of my match. Again, I'm up against Jacob, who is Jakey in this match, and looking at his team, the Amoonguss, Roaring Moon I definitely expect, the Klefki I expect. I'm not really sure what's going to be in that 4th slot. Arcanine and Frostlass both make some sense. I don't really think this is looking like a Riolu match from his perspective. So I'm just going to go with my Sandy Shocks lead, hoping that he goes Amoonguss Roaring Moon game 1, because that's going to be my best answer to the Roaring Moon. He's going to try to redirect it with a Rage Powder would be my guess, and then the Safety Goggles, Terra Fairy, Terra Blast directly into the Roaring Moon should hit, and if it goes for a Terra Flying or a Terra Steel, which are the 2 best things I had for him prep, then I'll have Thunderbolt and or Earth Power next turn. So I've just got a lot of tools to deal with the Roaring Moon in this matchup. He goes with nicknames, which I have to make sure I'm clicking on the right Pokemon moving forward, but he does have the Amoonguss Roaring Moon. So I think there's some possibilities this play. There are a couple different ways that I can approach this now, especially seeing that it is Photosynthesis with a booster attack. So this is almost certainly going to be a acrobatic set of some kind, probably Dragon Dance, either Crunch or Jaw Lock, and Dragon Claw are all moves potentially. It could be a Protect, but we're just going to go with a pretty simple here. We're going to attack into the Amoonguss, try and get it knocked down with a Flamethrower, put it into range. This shouldn't quite kill it without the Sun up, but this should absolutely kill this Roaring Moon because I know that it's not a Fairy Resist Berry or a Focus Sash as long as it hits. So I'm assuming that he's going to click Rage Powder right here, and we'll see if the Rage Powder redirects the attack, and he does, so it's not going to redirect either attack because I was targeting Flamethrower into the Amoonguss, and he does go straight for the Dragon Dance, so this thing is trying to set up to become a threat. This is a team that allows him to do so a lot of the time. But again, with my Safety Goggles Terra Blast, I can just erase this Roaring Moon, and it's not going to be a threat for the rest of this match. And I shouldn't kill this Amoonguss. That crit actually would have been nice to get on the Amoonguss instead. But, you know, pick your battles. Flamethrower will connect here, and it's going to do a decent chunk of damage into this Amoonguss. It's definitely going to put it in range, even if it had a Citrus Berry. But it did not. I got the burn onto it, which is, you know, okay if it's got a Foul Play set or something similar, but it doesn't really matter because it's going down to a Flamethrower next turn. And we are in a pretty advantageous position here. Up next, we got the Klefki, which is just about as expected. He's got double support on the battlefield right now. I'm not being really threatened, so I'm just going to be able to clean through this with some damage, preserve a lot of what I've got in the back. and I should be able to turn this into a 3v1 or so situation at the end of the light screen. Given that I've got 2 special attackers, is going to give him a lot of survivability. Earth Power does knock it down still to just under half, and then this Flamethrower should still kill through light screen, and it does. So now I've got to figure out what his plan is with something in the back to beat all 4 of my Pokemon. Thinking things in the back, the Riolu can't do anything here, and I'd be shocked if it was here. Alexander, I thought it was going to be an Arcanine, but no, it is the Frostlass. Frostlass is almost certainly going to Terra here, but I'm still going to force it to with the Flamethrower, and we're just going to clean up the Klefki here and really turn this into a 4v1 at this point, which is great. Frostlass is going to in fact Terra, and it's going to become Terra Fairy with Ice Scales, Terra Fairy, and Light Screen. This thing is actually going to be incredibly specially bulky. I'm going to have a really tough time breaking through it. The Earth Power is going to let me just get rid of the Klefki though, which is nice. I hit a crit there, that doesn't matter. And then we're just going to click, actually it gets up to Quiver Dance, so it goes to +1 special defense as well before the Flamethrower goes off into this slot, and you can see that this is just a tremendous amount of bulk that it has. That Flamethrower off of a Life Orb Walking Wake, I think I took a higher percentage of my life in recoil damage. So I'm going to struggle to kill this thing, especially if it gets up another one, but I don't know if it's got an ability to heal itself and hit everything in the back. Torkoal is going to be great here at some point. Earth Power makes sense to try to reduce that special defense to some extent, but most importantly is I've got the Lilligant, which is going to be able to hit it with a physical attack, which should be enough as long as it doesn't get all the way boosted up. I could try and get a switch in here, but I don't want him to call the switch correct to kill the Lilligant and then just leave me trying to break all the way through this while he tries to chunk a bunch of my stuff down, because we do see the Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam off of a +1. That's going to be able to clean up the Walking Wake. It's now the fastest thing on the field, and that would have killed the Lilligant on the switch in 2. So now we're down to Earth Power, and that's a slightly more damage. I'm trying to get the special defense proc, not quite getting it. And then I'm trying to decide, is it smarter to put the Lilligant in here, or to get the Torkoal in? And I think Torkoal first makes a lot of sense. Because if I put in the Lilligant, I have to switch in the Torkoal into the Sandy Shock slot, whereas if I put in the Torkoal, I can let something go down, then get the Lilligant in for free with an attack. And I'm not risking as much with it if I don't get the kill. So here, to make sure I get the Lilligant in, I can click on Overheat to get a free switch out with that Torkoal. And I also now get the Photosynthesis boost on the Sandy Shocks, which should let me do a little bit more damage. But again, this Frostmoth is just an absolute unit. It's going to Ice Beam, it's just going to straight up kill this Sandy Shocks. So the Lilligant's going to come in regardless at this point, but I'll still take my free Overheat damage. Overheat in the Sun comes on out and does not great. It's a pretty negligible amount of damage. Again, it is incredibly bulky at +1, Ice Body, or Icy Scales, whatever that ability is called, and Light Screen. So we're just going to hit it on the physical side, which now I'm in the Sun. He didn't get up a second Quiver Dance. If he got up a second Quiver Dance, especially if he got up a third Quiver Dance, he's definitely outspeeding me, I'm pretty sure. A second, I'm not super speed invested, so he could catch me. But this will let me just click Leaf Blade, which should effectively come close to killing it, and then I'll be able to click Eruption in the back because he doesn't have a multi-target move at this point, I'm pretty sure. So I'm just going to maximize the damage that I get off into this thing, and then if it survives one more turn, I'll be able to go Eruption and then Overheat next turn. But the Lilligant is going to be able to clean it up, which is going to be game 1 over for me. But moving on into game number 2. We're going to be going with something just a little bit different this time. My thoughts going into this game is that he's going to change it up, and I would really expect the Arcanine because it didn't come in this game. The Frostmoth makes a lot of sense. I don't actually know if the Roaring Moon is going to come. I probably should, but he might bench it if he still wants to go for 2 support Pokemon. But here we see that he goes with the Arcanine and the Riolu. So here I've got the Gouging Fire and Sandy Shock's lead, which was just to put a bit more pressure on the Amoonguss if that came out, and then I've got Breaking Swipe Pressure. Divinate comes on out, and I'm Clear Amulet, I've got Breaking Swipe Pressure, I've got Heat Crash Pressure, and I've also just got Earth Power Pressure into that Arcanine. So I'm forcing a Terra. I know that this Arcanine is Terra Normal, it's almost certainly going to happen. And I'm not sure if I want to try to deal more damage straight and maybe kill this Ryalu in case it's not Focus Sash, or if I want to go for the Breaking Swipe to lower the attack of that Arcanine. And I am back and forth on it a bit. I think that's the incorrect decision. I probably should have gone the Breaking Swipe and then gone for the Earth Power, because he's almost certainly going to click Terra Normal E-Speed here. And this will just set me up a bit better for future turns. So Arcanine does go for the Terra Normal. It's got the giant gem on top of its head. And then here it goes for the Extreme Speed, and it's going to do a chunk into Sandy Shocks. He gets a crit, obviously, but that puts me in a bad position. But fortunately for me, the way that speed interaction, or that priority interaction works, is the Extreme Speed went before the coaching, or he would have actually gotten a kill there. And getting this Earth Power damage off for 50% is huge for me, and then I get Heat Crash to come on in. So that puts them in range of a bunch of things, but I think just clicking Breaking Swipe here to reduce the HP on the, or reduce the attack on the Arcanine while killing the Ryalu makes a lot of sense. I want to preserve the Sandy Shock, because even though I don't think Roaring Moon comes here, actually I'm 50-50 on if Roaring Moon comes this game. Sandy Shocks is still going to be one of my better answers for it. I can Protect pretty cleanly here, I can Heat Crash, I can Breaking Swipe, and I am just going to end up Heat Crashing into the Arcanine level this turn now. Just trying to go for the immediate kill to not let the coaching get out of hand. He does target correctly with the Extreme Speed, which is annoying. That's going to deal a chunk of damage at +1. And then he goes for Copycat Extreme Speed, but the Extreme Speed goes into the Sandy Shock. So that was really cool attack to let him get multiple Extreme Speeds off, but I am just going to be able to Heat Crash and the Gouging Fire. I don't think that crit mattered even at +1 defense, because Heat Crash is still base power 120 into Arcanine, I believe. So his Terra is gone, which is going to put me in a decent position, and we're going to see what comes on out. We are actually getting the Salamence, or not the Salamence, the Roaring Moon. Breaking Swipe here makes a lot of sense. He's probably going to kill the Terra Fairy that he knows is there, but it might still be worth it to Terra and try to Terra Blast it to punish a Dragon Dance play of any kind that comes on out. Breaking Swipe makes a lot of sense, but this thing Dragon Dancing is actually a bit of a problem for me, so I do need to put pressure on it to stop it from getting a free Dragon Dance. So going for the Terra Blast is probably just going to be sacrificing my Sandy Shocks, but I can't really not do this play. So he's got actually a decent pin here, because if he kills me, he can just waste my Terra, but having Breaking Swipes as an option is very nice. But if he goes Coaching, he can out-coaching Breaking Swipes, but he goes for the Helping Hand first. So this play, maybe he was calling a switch, or knowing that that's not very effective, but I eat that pretty comfortably. I mean, I don't eat that, but I mean, I die pretty comfortably without the Helping Hand, which means I now get Breaking Swipe off, and now I am ahead of Coaching, and he doesn't have it anymore. And now I've just got Breaking Swipe pressure to kill this Roaring Moon any turn. So I think he's got to be targeting almost exclusively into the Gouging Fire, because if he doesn't target into the Gouging Fire, Breaking Swipe just kills. So here I might try to go a little tricky, because the Klefki comes in out, which means no Frost Moth, which is weird. Breaking Swipe would just get me a kill, and so would Close Combat. So I could do Breaking Swipe plus Close Combat, just double target it. If it's got Protect, and that Klefki is able to get up some screens, it might be a bit more tricky. I can Heat Crash the Klefki. I can just try to stall a turn with a Protect. I've got a lot of different options here, and I'm calling a Protect on it. So Lilligant protects, the Roaring Moon doesn't protect. So I could have just won this game with a Breaking Swipe here, but it does get up to Reflect. Breaking Swipe probably doesn't actually kill through Reflect, but it does get it low enough at -2. Acrobatics did go into Lilligant, so I was completely free to Breaking Swipe. But instead I use the Heat Crash, and I see the Occaberry, which is very nice tech into me. I'm definitely in Heat Crash range without the Occaberry next turn, so I have the ability to kill it. I can just click the Breaking Swipe again this turn if I want to. But I decided to try and be cute, get the Torkoal in, activate the Lilligant, use that to completely take it out. And again, this is probably a little aggressive. Maybe even swapping the Lilligant here is correct, and then just clicking Breaking Swipe. But I instead decide to pull back the Gouging Fire, get the Torkoal in, and go straight for the close combat. And he makes an excellent play here when he clicks Rain Dance. Rain Dance goes off. Now suddenly Roaring Moon is back to being the fastest thing. Acrobatics is just going to absolutely annihilate this thing. I don't have a switch for Torkoal anymore, and I am suddenly very behind the 8-ball. I need to find a way to effectively deal with this Roaring Moon. It is at -1, but it also had an attack booster, so it's at functionally minus like 0.5. I don't know if I live a Dark type attack from it or an Acrobatics. I definitely don't live a Dragon type attack from the Gouging Fire. He hasn't shown one, so I can click Eruption to try and get some chip on both things, and I have to decide, do I think he's going to target the Torkoal, or do I think he's going to target the Gouging Fire? If he's going to target the Torkoal, I attack. If I think he's targeting the Gouging Fire, I go for the Burning Bulwark, and I try to burn this Roaring Moon, because if I burn the Roaring Moon, I'm surviving anything. And he does go for the Crunch, so he doesn't have a Dragon type attack. Acrobatics probably would have been better. Actually, Death Move. No. Crunch does more damage with Hatterra. But I am able to burn it, and now I am very confident in my endgame here. Because Eruption goes off, it deals enough to the Klefki that I'll be able to Eruption again next turn. And it deals just enough that plus Burn Chip, even through Reflect, the Breaking Swipe should be able to kill that Roaring Moon, and that's basically all I need to lock up this game. So I'll be able to click Breaking Swipe here, and then this Roaring Moon is not going to kill here because of all the minuses it has, and I would have survived last turn too. Breaking Swipe comes on in, it cleans up there, and then Torkoal's going to be able to clean up this Klefki, which just doesn't have enough damage for this endgame. So yeah, I made Game 2 a lot closer than it really needed to be, but the team felt very good in the first week, and hopefully next week I'm going to be back with some live commentary with a better voice. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!